Welcome to Mob Talk. Jason Harris guides our live weekly show with numerous automotive experts talking anything and everything automotive. Turn up the volume and let's get ready to rock.
Curtis, would you like to kick us off then? Since I got you, your mic unmuted there. KPIs 2021. You can go marketing operations, whatever direction you go in. But what should those KPIs be for this year?
So I don't run a dealership. I don't have rooftops. I'm just a guy that takes care of private car collections and private jets across the world, or not world, the nation. Yes, dealerships are my clients. But what my point of view, my perspective may be able to be value is think about if you've been doing this for 15, 20, 25, 30 years. I've run dealerships. I got 8 rooftops, and I'm a badass, and I sell 1,200 cars a month, and blah blah blah. Start thinking about reverse engineering why you think you're badass, and what is the customer looking for when they're in your facility, when they're on the lot. Put yourself in the customer's shoes. You just started yesterday. Think about the approach you would want as a customer in your lot as a marketer, and then also tie into the social media aspects and all the dynamics that are going on, hot and heavy, very fast. You got to try to catch up with and keep up with. Just go ahead and put yourself in a customer's mindset right now. If you're buying a car, forget everything you've known for the past 35 years. Just meet people where they're at right now. And I guess that's all I have for now, Jason.
That's cool. Hey, thanks, Curtis. When I'm thinking of KPIs, I do kind of split them between marketing and operations. And I'll tell you, marketing KPIs have changed quite a bit. Look, depending on where you are in the world, all right, leads can be up, leads can be down, phone calls can be up, phone calls can be down. But this year, what I find to be the holy grail of KPIs in marketing is engagement. It's all about not wasting the so famous ad dollar, all right, and really focusing on both creative networks and ad formats that increase engagement, that have high engagement. And what I mean by engagement can come in many, many different ways, right? It could come in video views, it could come in form fills, it could come in live chats, but that's why I say the word engagement and not necessarily the word conversion. Because I don't particularly like the word conversion because it's just too ambiguous. And, conversion is something that you can decide. It can be anything. It can be a time on a page, or you go below the digital fold. And all these things can be considered conversions. But engagement, I think, is the key KPI in 2021 is how do we get people to engage more with our marketing efforts and our website and just us in general as a dealership. Does anybody have any thoughts on how we can increase engagement? Terry?
I don't have a thought on increasing engagement, but I agree with you that, and that's one of the things that I was going to follow up with Curtis's comment on, is that we have to increase engagement. And I like the word conversion in the sense that it converts it into a sale. Mm-hmm. One of the KPIs that I like is, and I equate it to because everything goes back to sports for me, is increasing your batting average. And I think that every dealer from a KPI standpoint needs to increase their batting average this year. And there's two ways to do that. And that's through the digital delivery methodology or through the conventional methodology, of which we've had. One of the things that I found very interesting, in talking to a dealer a couple weeks ago, was that he had a greater penetration of digital delivery in 2019 than he did in 2020. Mm-hmm. And you would think that would be completely the opposite. But I think that from a KPI standpoint, we need to turn inventory greater, faster. We need to have a better batting average, which goes to yours. And then prior to what you're talking about from an engagement is impressions. Converting impressions into engagement, which then turns into sales. So I think that kind of a stair step. We just got to have a better batting average.
You know what? You're 100% right. I mean, if you think any other industry out there measures every single element up to whatever they define to be success, as in our case, an actual purchase, right? But we are so fast to go from lead all the way to purchase, and we forget every single attribute in between there, or every single element or activity that was required to actually make that happen. And I'm with you, Terry. That's one thing I love about sports, is that we measure everything. every opportunity you get to the plate, every opportunity you swing, every opportunity you get the puck, the ball gets handed to you, whatever it is, we measure it all. And I agree with you. I think in 2021 is that we need to go a lot deeper in our KPIs and look at more at what the activities are, not necessarily the results. If we focus on the activities, the results will actually come. All right. But we seem to focus so much on those results and not enough about the actual individual activities that are required to get to those results. Well said. Thanks, Terry.
And even in baseball, and as I was, you illuminated that point, was in baseball, I know what a batting average is at an 0-1 count, a 1-1 count, and a 3-2 count. I know, and that's where you need to drill down deeper into those, and drill down deeper into the guys, into what we're doing to convert.
100%.
So I think a fundamental principle, I don't know if it's a KPI, but it's a pretty super important KPI, is the that your team is getting, and the service drive in the back of the house, your sales guys, your vendor partners, like what level of leadership is happening before you even look at reports. KPIs and reports are fine and dandy, but how to utilize them and coach and adapt and coach up or coach out is absolutely vital. And leadership is the KPI all day in my brain.
No, actually, I think that's a good point. I mean, I think a lot of the times when we think of real leadership is that we think it's something that you're born with or you're a natural at. But in reality, some of the best leaders out there process their leadership in a way that it's consistently and intentionally always executed. And to your point, if that's exactly what we need to do. I mean, we start looking at KPIs. It's not just KPIs around how many times we're at bat, which is important. That has to be done. But also from a management perspective or leadership's perspective, what is it? What are those key indicators that we're going to use to indicate that we're truly leading our team the way that we need to be leading them? I like that.
And Jason, you just slipped without even knowing it. You said manager, right? And you're not a manager, you're a leader. You slipped and you didn't know it. And we're so used to saying manager. People manage tasks, and people are so good at doing tasks. You give them 100 tasks and they can knock them out by 9 a.m. tomorrow. Task manager is one thing, but a leader is another thing. And there's a lot of managers in the auto industry. I don't know if there's a lot of leaders in the auto industry.
I'd like to add 2 points to the leadership aspect and the engagement. I think I agree, Jason, that engagement is important, but historically, even during my time when I've worked directly with dealerships, is that engagement interpreted by dealers and managers is simply by putting up an Auto Trader ad and hoping that a lead comes through, a prospect comes through. Yeah. But I think one of the most common mistakes that dealerships have been making is they don't create their own content. They rely heavily on marketplace.
Yes.
And one of the KPIs I would add, in order to get engagement, they have to understand something called content use, which is, how are their salespeople, all their profit centers connecting leads with their marketing material. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that they do not track, and they should.
No, you know what? We're getting close to attribution, kind of what we're talking about here, which is always kind of a dangerous topic. It's one because I always get super annoyed with attribution. I do believe that it's kind of a holistic approach, but I'm with you that look, what we have to do is we just have to get more granular with all of our efforts. And in 2021, there's we just can't waste. There can't be any ad waste. So if there's not going to be any ad waste, and that's the golden objective, to your point, 100%, Erwin, is that we have to be able to track it all, and that includes what's going on with the marketplace and any other lead sources out there.
Erwin, just to add on to what you were saying, when you say that you wanted some sort of marketing strategy, that some content that the sales can work with marketing, what do you believe are a few things that sales could do that marketing already has as content, other than, let's say, a special offer on a vehicle? This organic content is very valuable, but sometimes sales staff just don't know what to do with that.
Yeah, I think I've done work with tier 1 all the way to tier 3, and in the car business, that's basically from manufacturer all the way to the dealership level. And one of the things that salespeople do rely on are the incentive programs and any other type of programs that tier 1, the manufacturer, releases.
Sure.
And they work with that. But salespeople inherently can develop their own network. And I think some of the luxury brands do that extremely well. If you talk to salespeople from Aston Martin, Bentley, Porsche, the salespeople carry their own book of business and they market themselves accordingly based on the brand that they work with, regardless of where they go. And I think dealerships should be fostering that on top of their branding their own dealership. And I think there's a lot of fear that, we should only promote and market the dealership, but not the salespeople who push the product themselves. So when you ask what's a great way to promote a salesperson to promote themselves or the product that they're selling, it's no different from how influencers do it. Right? It's how they become very valuable. So
Right.
You're big on Instagram, you're big on Facebook. You say, hey, I now work for Chevrolet. We have these specials coming out, and I will personally take care of you because this is the service level that I offer.
Right. And I feel like that's so important, which is connecting that marketing department with the sales department, and then afterwards as well with that service department, that everyone is kind of tracking similar KPIs, what Jason was talking about. And to the point where the dealership can see all three aspects of marketing, sales, and service, and they can come to some sort of conclusions as to what is working and what isn't. And what Jason was talking about with the KPIs, I mean, I spend more time looking at salespeople and sales managers and things they're tracking. And the most common thing is, how many calls did you make today? I mean, I feel like that's like the number one question that you'll hear. And you know what? If I say I make 50 calls or 100 calls, I don't think that's going to make any difference to how many sales a salesperson makes at the end of the month, because that first contact does not result in that final sale. And so I think a more accurate KPI would be how many people actually answered that first call of yours, how many people answered the second, the third, and then from there, how many leads did you push down your sales funnel, but actually get them to move forward in their buying journey, which can seem a little bit different, but I think everyone at the end of the day has the same goals, which is bringing awareness to that customer, letting them consider what those options actually are, and then moving forward only to those customers who actually would like to see those options, which is something that I feel like salespeople don't usually have the experience to consider what's going on in the buyer's mind. They're more thinking about what's the next step I need to do on my end to make sure this deal happens. When that buyer, it just maybe isn't ready, or maybe is still considering.
I think the process you talked about, at least in the startup world, is not new. It's something we call the funnel flow. Mm-hmm. And dealerships don't use anything like that. And like you mentioned, they're focused on, how many people walk through the door, how many emails did we receive, how many phone calls did we gain, and who handled those calls accordingly. Whereas it should be working in opposite direction, which is the salespeople are promoting themselves and the products and the brands that they're working with. People are calling, people are coming in because of them. They may not be the one to facilitate those leads, but they're the reasons they're in the door. And that's what dealerships should be tracking.
No, you're 100% right. And look, when you think of all the different marketing strategies that are currently being executed right now in 2021, I'm thinking of everything that we're currently executing for a bunch of our clients, even right now, is, what is that message and how deep is that message? See, that's the one thing that I think moving into 2021, I'm from a marketing perspective, is that the depth of the message directly correlates to the engagement of the creative. And then that depth of that message pretty much sets up the stage for where operations is able to come in. Like it's not enough that we market a $199 biweekly vehicle. I've told this story a few times, but I'll tell it a million times before. I'm sure a lot of you guys, because you're in the automotive space, you've been at a dinner party before. All right, someone found out that you're in automotive, and immediately they want to share a story with you about their purchasing process or purchasing experience. Well, I'll tell you what, I've yet to ever have someone tell me they bought a $199 biweekly car. It has nothing to do with it. Right? They go into all about the experience and the people they talked about, good or bad, but that's what they ultimately connect with. I think what it is that in 2021, for both an operations perspective and a marketing perspective, all right, we need to kind of get back to the old school roots of truly being storytellers, as stories that people actually want to connect with. And that's where I look at that engagement. That's why for me, that's a big one for 2021 is just all about engagement.
Thanks for tuning in to Mob Talk. Feel free to like, follow, comment, or get a hold of me with any ideas for new content on future shows. Be sure to check out more amazing automotive content from our Strategy Mob captains and crew at strategymob.com.